This is gonna sound like a Theo Vaughn story almost. I was at a pig roast, and an autistic guy cut an eye out of the pig, and he's like, "I wonder what it tastes like." And I was like, "Dude, if you eat half, I'll eat half." And we split a pig.
Why?
A podcast hosted by two white comedians, a stereotype about the blandest ingredients that childhoods didn't prepare them for life. Sexual tension you can cut with a knife. Podcast. Two white comedians. Podcast. Two white comedians.
All right, we're back.
Hey.
We're back once again.
But
We were just using foreign language slurs I should say. That's what happens when you work manual labor, is you're around a lot of cultures and you learn the worst things to say in those languages. The other day I was talking to someone, I assumed they knew Tagalog, which is a Filipino language, and they only knew enough to know that I was saying something terrible.
Why did you assume that? What about them?
They are Filipino, would be the first reason.
I had a Filipino. I don't know the language. I don't know I had a Filipino aunt.
Okay, good for you. Do you know Tagalog? Should I assume you know Tagalog based on this? I believe this person
I've never heard that
maybe
before.
Second generation Filipino, but we were, and certainly lives in an area where you might expect, or grew up in an area where you might expect them to know
The Philippines?
the language. No, maybe that would make them a first-generation immigrant, not a second-generation immigrant. You idiot. I know how to say, and Filipino listeners are droves, our army of Filipino listeners. Please, I apologize for my pronunciation because I'm very much out of practice, but I know how to say it. There's two phrases I can remember. One is, and I always thought this one was funny, I believe it's try this, but the phrase is walong dick man, which is like, it sounds like you're saying like long dick man.
Yeah.
And then I know how to say kakan tutin kon si Jess sapwet, which means I want to fuck Jess in the ass.
Ooh. I like that one.
Which, yeah, Filipino listeners, please weigh in. Yeah, so anyways, I actually like when I was right out of high school, I worked with a lot of Filipinos. I know a lot of Filipino shit. Our friend Greg Beechler gives me credit. Greg Beechler and Brian Dennis, who I think between them are one solid black dude. They tell me I know a lot of black shit, but it's not like, the reason is, it's not like a kid who grew up and was like, I'm going to DJ because my parents have money and they're going to buy me turntables, and because of that I'm going to learn. Like, I know shit that's like really terrible from history. Are you familiar with the paper bag test? Greg brings this up all the time, that I'm familiar with the paper bag test.
No.
You don't know about it at all?
I don't think so.
I thought he learned this in school. I don't know what, like, racist...
If we're talking about stuff we learned in school, I'm out.
I don't think a lot of people know this. They used to do a test if... basically, it was to decide... They're like, way to decide if someone was black or white was, are they darker or lighter than a paper bag? That was the whole test. I don't know why you're laughing so hard at this. Because you could pass. You could be like by society or the government be considered a white guy.
Yeah.
If your skin was lighter than a paper bag. So Greg is going to white schools if he's born in the 1930s. You know.
Yeah. Wow. I haven't heard that. That's alarming.
Well, I mean, I got bad news. There's other worse stuff from that period of time.
Is there? I haven't learned any of it.
Oh, okay. But the 1800s are going to be a rough decade for you to learn about. But yeah, Filipinos, all their food. I always bring this up anytime I meet a Filipino because they're like, "You didn't have Balut, did you?" Yeah, I had Balut.
Did you?
Oh yeah, love it. Great. It's
Really?
great. Oh, dude,
Really?
it's so good. So I remember
boy.
So I'm very adventurous with food. I remember I was on an Argosy cruise with my, by the way, this body does not come from adventure. This body comes from convenience. If I was just eating adventurous foods, I'd be slim and trim.
Gotcha.
I'm not eating other countries' pastries. I'm eating their fucking bug fish. I went on an Argosy cruise with my school once.
This fucking guy.
And, Argosy's like on Lake Washington.
Yeah, cruise
It's not
is a
that
cruise.
exciting. It's
I haven't
basically a
I haven't
ferry.
even been on many boats.
You've been on a
let
ferry.
alone- I've
It's
been on a
basically
ferry.
This is a glorified ferry.
I've been on the Clipper.
I've never been on that one. Did you do
Pretty
a show
good.
up there?
No,
you just went and
I
visited
just
Victoria?
went to Victoria.
Nice.
Beautiful city.
That'd be a good co-headlining spot for us potentially if we could ever make anyone care about this podcast.
Still got to find out if I'm allowed in Canada.
I think you are, but we can figure that out a different time. We don't have to litigate that on this podcast.
That's fine.
They pulled a sea cucumber out of whatever, I guess Lake Washington, maybe it was Puget Sound, but they pulled a sea cucumber from the bottom of the seafloor.
Yes.
And they were like, "Does anyone want to eat it?" And I was like, first one with my hand up. I was at a. This is gonna sound like a Theo Vaughn story almost. I was at a pig roast, and an autistic guy cut an eye out of the pig, and he's like, "I wonder what it tastes like." And I was like, "Dude, if you eat half, I'll eat half." And we split a pig. Eye.
Why did he cut the eye out of the pig?
Well, it was getting cooked. Like it was dead already.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, dude. He was autistic. He
They
remains
let him
autistic.
have a knife?
Yeah. I think some of them get rifles and shit. I don't know. I think some of them own. Some of them do Heil Hitlers in the middle of. Some of them are allowed to run very large companies.
What a curious mistake.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've had a lot of stuff. Is the point? I've had whatever the Rocky Mountain oysters. I've had if I can. The only thing I'm not like curious about is stuff that's like rite of passage spicy, where it's like prove how dick your big is spicy.
How dick your big is.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's in fact I had one Carolina Reaper pepper. I can't say anything anymore. No, I never. I don't care about that. But like any fish, I would eat crickets, no problem. I'll eat whatever if a culture actually eats it.
Yeah.
Like leisurely, not like. It's so hot you're gonna hallucinate, and then you'll see the spirits. Like I'm talking like if a culture actually eats it, I will absolutely try it one time.
I'm trying to think of like the most experimental thing I've eaten. Probably I've had gizzards.
Oh yeah,
before I knew what gizzards were.
Did you? I assume they were fried and breaded.
Yeah.
I've never had a gizzard, a raw gizzard, or a.
Do people do that?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
They were like, "Oh, this is actually a charred and blackened gizzard, not a. This is the healthy version of a gizzard."
Mm-hmm. Was the sea cucumber? Did they cook the sea cucumber? Or did they just pull it out and you were like, "I'll eat that"?
Well, I certainly didn't volunteer to eat it. Like they asked, and I was the first one with my hand up.
You weren't like, "Oh,
put
toss
that
it
thing
over
in my
here."
Yeah. Fling that thing at me. I suppose. I guess I would have assumed they cooked it, but I don't know if they did because it was like.
Was it warm?
I don't remember. My memory is it just was like it was just kind of like a fatty, like it was like almost like calamari texture, basically.
Mm-hmm. I've had calamari.
Fried or on its own.
Just fried, probably. All of the everything I've eaten has been fried.
Every single thing in the history of your life.
Yeah, pure fried diet.
Well, you come from a single parent household.
Yeah.
And I remember, at what age did you start cooking for yourself, or did you ever cook for yourself? Like, and I don't mean like you got to have 3 pots going. I mean as simple as like Hamburger Helper or microwaved meals.
Lots. So age-wise, I think I was cooking a lot of like top ramen, probably
On the stove or in the microwave?
stove.
Oh, yeah.
Stove. I don't think we had a microwave when I was a kid.
Whoa.
I think very poor. My mom used to make big batches of soup for us. That's how poor we were.
I don't know.
I've had
I think you're
gallons of split pea. Like, no, to sustain us. Like, that's what we had to eat.
Gallons of split pea soup made at one time is a different. Did she freeze it?
No, I think it would just be like in the pot, and then we'd heat it up every day.
Wait,
for like a week.
She would just stick the pot in the fridge?
I guess. I don't remember.
Call her up. Let's see what she's got to say.
Mom. Yeah, we didn't have a microwave. We had a 13-inch TV my entire childhood growing up.
Yikes.
The same 13-inch, and we had like a little like TV stand thing, and I would like scooch my chair up to the TV stand and put both feet on either side of the TV.
It was like a big screen then.
So yeah, perception.
I had we had a 25-inch TV. I'll take a
Louise Argosy Cruises 25-inch TV.
Argosy Cruise paid for by
guy.
my school, by the way, not by my public school. When my parents got divorced, I remember my mom. I don't know how this works exactly, but she went with her friend and shopped at the. I can't remember what it's called, but it's on the military base, whatever that thing is called. It's a grocery store, but they call it something.
Yeah, what is that? The something X. PAX.
Yeah, something like that. Commissary, I think is what they call it, the commissary. And there's another thing that is with an X. I think you're right, but I think they call it the commissary.
Call in if you're a military fan. If you're
only
a fan
if you're Filipino.
of the military, yeah.
If you're a military fan, yeah, they're mostly focused on the grocery options. That's what the fans, but not servers in the military. Servers? You think they call them servers?
For our country.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an MRE? A meal ready to eat?
I've never had an MRE, but I've had like elements of an MRE, like the ice cream. That's, of course, I ate the ice cream, Jess. I'll beat you to it. The like dehydrated ice cream. It's weird. It's just like
that I haven't had.
I'm trying to even like, it's almost like a Lucky Charms marshmallow would be what I would say. It's most like a big ass Lucky Charms marshmallow.
Yeah.
That's like Neapolitan flavored or some shit.
Yeah, I've
like
never
that.
had that. Never had that.
But yeah, my mom would go on there and she would get like just like a boatload of chicken pot pies. Those like little individual Hungry Man chicken pot pies. And I probably had 100 of those in high school. Like over the course of my parents didn't get divorced until I was partway through my freshman year. So like in 3 years, basically, had 33 a year. That's like 3 a month we're at. And
yeah, it's a lot of pot pies.
Countless hamburger helper. I would consolidate all those pot pies into like, she'd buy like 30 of them and I'd eat all of them in a month and then I wouldn't have them for a year. And then they'd come around again and I'd eat them all. But yeah, anyway, paranoia is similar to Balut. It's in fact, I would say it's like if you're in the mood for trying some partially incubated duck eggs, it is the less scary version because it's less incubated, so there's less meat tissue in it. So
yeah,
it's like. But one thing I will say about Balut, because everybody is they're like, oh my god, you ate it. When you cook it, it doesn't look like the pictures you see on the internet, because the pictures you see on the internet are always it uncooked. And when you look at it uncooked, it looks like raw duck meat with like a partially formed duck in this egg. And I'm not going to tell you that there's like no part of it that resembles, but it's not like you're eating, the bones are not developed enough to be bones at that point. It's not like there's a beak and feathers or anything like that. It's just like a super rich bite of duck meat, essentially. And then there's like elements of egg around it also. It's very good. I will like, there's no part of me that's trying to be like, win any hipster awards. No one's happy when I tell them I ate this.
Yeah.
But it tastes very good.
That's would that be that's like a late stage
duck abortion? We had a guy that would talk. There was a guy that I worked with that was, by the way, a severe alcoholic. Also, this guy would like at the end of the month he'd be broke and he would just make sandwiches out of like what was left and he'd sell them at work. And it was like what was left. The only thing he would buy fresh, he would save up enough money to buy fresh bean sprouts. And then everything else was just kind of like the end of what was in his
This doesn't sound
fridge.
like a guy that would be putting bean sprouts on his
I know.
sandwiches.
I don't know why that he insisted on it, or maybe that's how he could. But dude, he would make these killer sandwiches out of just like the very ends of what was in his fridge in the month, because he was broke and needed alcohol. Like, oh, dude, they were so good. But he would walk around going, Casey, are you going to eat one of those duck abortions today? This is why I talk to people, by the way, about how manual labor, people think they're representing a working person. They don't know the first thing about what manual labor is like. Because the places I've worked that were manual labor, like, it would be like a Filipino guy and an Indian guy playing foosball and saying the most racist shit across the table just to get the guy off his game so they could win an exhibition game of foosball. There was nothing on the line. It was just the ability to continue playing, and they'd be saying horrific things to each other, and at the end, when they lost, they would scream an even more horrific thing, and everyone would laugh, and we would move on with our day.
Was the blue-collar job you were working like a boys and girls club? Why was there a foosball table there?
It was in a break room of a box factory.
I've never you did work at a that
Two
was your
box
manual
factories, two separate
labor
I
job.
worked in 2 box factories.
Were you in tape? Were you the tape guy? You tape
It was
them
a
shut?
printing press.
A printing press.
Yeah, it was printing flat sheets of cardboard and then cutting them and printing them all at the same time into boxes. Huge machinery. And huge, like 5-gallon or 55-gallon totes of ink. They were like 55-inch steel cylinders running this through. This was a real manual labor job, dog.
What was your actual labor though?
Picking up stacks of flat sheets of cardboard and lifting them into a hopper that's feeding, or stacking the ones that had been either printed and cut or that have been folded on a pallet. So literally lifting it all, 100% of the box that got made, the boxes that got made, into a spot that they needed to be.
Gotcha. Have you ever dug holes for a job?
No, these are the manual labor jobs I've had. I worked at a place where I assembled taser holsters, sat at a desk and just assembled these taser holsters. I worked for a company called Canopy World that's still around, that I do not recommend for anybody.
Is that a place in Fife?
No, that's Canopy Kingdom. Very different.
Whoa.
There's also Camping World in Fife, which people would confuse.
Huge disappointment, Camping World.
Is it?
Huge disappointment. It's not for you can't get a tent at Camping World.
Is that right?
It's all
It's just
RV stuff.
Oh, that's
you can
lame.
get
That's not even camping.
you can get a trailer hitch.
What are we
You know
doing?
what I mean? Yeah,
Marcus Lemonis, who by the
I
way
went
is
there
the owner of
for a good while. I would camp multiple times a summer, and we went to Camping World, and I was stoked. I'm like, this is great, because I thought it was going to be like REI kind of, walked in, and there's there's not even really stuff in there.
Sure.
It's just brochures and things to get an RV. Huge disappointment.
When I was a kid, there was a place, you probably remember it, called Sportco. I think it's still there.
It was just at Sportco last week.
At the time, it would be you'd go into Sportco and I'm like, great, they're going to have tons of baseball bats and basketballs, and it's they'd have 6 softball bats, 2 baseball bats, and 4,000 fishing rods.
Yeah.
And hunting equipment.
Fishing
I was
rods,
I don't give a shit about any of this.
Yeah, we were just there, and the wife was looking in the women's section.
Your wife?
My wife, yeah,
Oh,
just
wow.
a wife, the wife, the wife of Washington,
The one wife.
the state wife.
We're only allowed one. in the state.
Yeah, very busy woman. But she's looking in the women's section, and there's really no distinction
Sure.
between the women's and the men's section in there, because it's all just plaid, a lot of vests,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of vests, a lot of blankets with moose, things like that.
A lot of tactical items, outdoor survival tactical items.
Decent prices on bullets.
Yeah. That's interesting. There's another place that I've been to that we should talk about off the podcast that does all right. Anyway, Canopy World was installing canopies on the back of people's trucks. And then I worked at this box factory, 2 box factories, and then at some point in there, I also worked at a glass manufacturer, which that was fucking probably minute for minute the most backbreaking work I ever did, because it was taking these fucking panes of glass that would later become shower windows and picking them up by hand, taking them over to a table, cleaning them, picking them back up by hand and setting them on the rack that they were going to go on a truck. Dude, that was I did it for a little while, and I was I'm literally there was no young or no old people work there.
Right.
At the box factory, there would be a 65-year-old guy, and you're okay, well, this is not as backbreaking. And then you go to this place, and it's all I'm not even kidding, it's 23-year-old convicts. It's just like genuinely people who cannot get a job other places.
Right. Yeah,
people would
yeah.
come in and they're like, oh, we haven't seen you in like 3 weeks. That's how like little of a filtration process. They didn't ever fire anyone. I might still have an employee record. I might be able to go walk in tomorrow and they're like, Casey, welcome back. It's been 15 years. We haven't seen you in forever. Yeah, it was like, and I had multiple times in my life where I was working like a legit 2 jobs, not like comedy. Like comedy's a second job or whatever. I'm talking like fucking. I remember one time I worked. It was Thursday night. I worked at the box factory. I woke up. I woke up Friday morning. Worked like 9 to 5 at Canopy World because they were like, I was coming in to help them because they were short staffed, and they were like, it was perfect because they didn't have to pay me benefits. It was like just 1 day of pay, whatever.
Oh yeah.
So and then after I got off at Canopy World at 5, I went in and worked 12 and a half hours of overtime. So it was like out of 37 hours, I worked 32 hours or something like that.
Gotcha.
But I was like 2 jobs a lot of that stretch. All manual labor bullshit.
Why were you working 2 jobs at the time?
To pay my bills.
Gotcha.
I didn't live at home or anything. I had to.
How old were you at this point?
I was like 21, 22.
Gotcha. I worked.
You interrogating me, motherfucker? Jesus.
I was just
Christ.
curious. There's stuff we've not. There is still stuff we don't know about each
You
other.
know, it turns out.
I just want to know you better.
As do the listeners.
I've had several manual labor jobs very young. I painted for like every summer from like 7th grade through my short tenure in high school. I built
Was the tenure painting short or was the tenure in high school short?
I probably painted for longer than I was in high school for sure.
What year did you drop out?
It was supposed to be my junior year, but was my sophomore year. I got held.
Turns out it was also your senior year.
Yeah. I built big toys for a summer, which is probably not the hardest job I've done, but pretty close because it was just digging post holes.
Yeah.
All day long and pouring concrete. And then I worked for Value Village for a while in the back. And that was probably physically the hardest job I've ever done because you're like you're collecting all of like the garbage, like fucking broken electronics and shit like that from the processors.
Yeah.
So I would have to collect all of their, it's just like an endless stream, filling up garbage cans, take the garbage cans out to the compactor, and then all the clothing.
You ever set one of those compactors on fire with like an electronics item that had some stored energy?
No, I almost crushed some homeless people in our compactor though.
Damn.
Because it's like compactor attached to those giant like tube things that's like a like tractor trailer size. And I came out in the morning one day and was about to like start running the compactor, but I could hear people because like, people would sneak in there. Sometimes it would be like, it's not always full, you know?
Sure.
So people could like kind of squeeze through where the ram of the compactor would like push into it. They'd like work their way in and just like dig around for wire or whatever they were looking for. So like I could have
Like you don't know.
I could have crushed these people had not known unless we heard the scream, but the compactor's loud. So like I could have crushed these people to death in the middle of all like this big container full of trash, never known. And they probably they could possibly have not been found ever, depending on like how the thing
You'd have to
emptied
know to
at the
look.
dump.
Right.
Right.
Like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's probably, I would imagine, like, even if they got crushed in the middle of it, it's not like you're crushing them to the point where they're like, it's not like popping a grape in the middle of your sleeve or something. Like it's.
Yeah, just be kind of a mangled body with like a VCR shoved in there. No, I had a lot of fun. Like there was fun stuff with that job, like destroying couches so they would fit into the compactor, but just like thousands of pounds of lifting every day. All the time lifting.
Yeah, so like that's like a great, if you were to measure it in weight, like what working in a box factory was a lot of the time was just lifting thousands of pounds a day.
Yeah.
What were we getting? Oh yeah, my point is when you work manual labor, and I'm sure you had this experience painting and at Value Village. Value Village might be different because it's retail also. So like some of your coworkers, I'm not saying you worked in retail. There's probably sensitive people there.
I worked both sides. So
Right.
they started me on the sales floor. I worked my way backwards to get into the back room because I wanted to work with all those fuckers. But just a lot of like people that can't get a job anywhere else.
Yeah. We had a guy, this was like, 2004 or 5 at Canopy World. The owner's son, by the way, which I mean, I'm giving a lot of information that could be potentially incriminating, but who gives a shit? He was like, "You guys know how to build a pipe bomb?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "I'm pretty sure I know how to do it." And so then we went to like, this should get us on a watch list, by the way. Like not you and me, but like when all four, it's like 3 or 4 dudes walk into a hardware store and we're like, we need flash powder and a pipe and then 2 fittings for the end and a drill bit. They
You
should
don't
be like,
buy it all at the same place.
well,
That's
we weren't fucking storming the Capitol. We went out into the woods, and I remember we walked down into the woods with the owner of the company's son. He was our manager. This guy's supposed to be our boss. He's supposed to be the guy that's disciplining us when we do something wrong.
Right.
He also, by the way, would shoot paintballs out the front door at like pedestrians. It's nuts.
Wow.
He's I believe he's in a lot better shape now, but I believe had some
Because
addiction
of
issues.
his term in prison.
Yeah, he should have. I don't mean like he's ripped. I mean like I think he was on some a variety of sauces, we'll call it. Anyway, we go out to the woods with by the way, he was right. He knew how to make a pipe bomb. He did know how.
Yeah.
But I remember it was the first time I'd ever seen salvia in the wild because we're walking by these guys. We just have a pipe bomb. It's like a cartoon with like a big fuse sticking out of it. And these guys, they walk by and they go, "Those guys have a bomb encased in steel. How fucked up am I right now?" Because they were on salvia. We were like, "Are you guys okay?" And they were like, "Can you imagine?" I've never done salvia.
So the people on salvia were not the people
They weren't
in
with us
your
at all.
group.
No.
You were in just the crime zone.
We were walking past them on the trail, and they saw this. We're not hiding it. Also, this is what's crazy about this is, and by the way, didn't do anything. Don't incriminate me. Fucking.
You didn't light the fuse.
You could dust my hands for gunpowder or whatever. There's none on it. I just was there to watch. I was a spectator, innocent spectator. Also back then, I guess I would never do this now because we just like went out into the woods. You'd catch the woods on fire now, but we weren't even thinking about this.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, this guy, what age do you imagine this man to be?
At the time, let's say 32.
I'm going 42 at minimum at the time.
Whew.
Yeah. Multiple children? He had multiple children.
How many baby mamas?
I think 1. But
That's pretty
He
good.
was with a second woman who he would later have another child with. Anyways, so yeah, my point being, nobody was going to be mad if you said the R slur or whatever in these places or whatever. Even when like I met my first trans person at this place, and it was a guy named Mark who was transitioning to Gloria. And this is at a time they like, it was fresh enough. Like now you'd be like, okay, everyone, don't be an asshole. Everyone knows, like, this was like multiple meetings on every shift. Like, we're going to have sensitivity training about this. And it was, they were like, Gloria will be using this single occupancy bathroom in the
Was
back.
he transitioning into an elderly woman?
He was already an elderly man. He was in his
That's
late
why
50s.
Gloria.
Yeah.
That's so
And
funny
one of
to
my
pick an old lady name.
One of the first jokes I ever made that I was like, fuck you, that should have done better, is I was like, there was a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom, and between it there was like a janitor's closet, and I go, I think Gloria's gonna use the Gloria hole. And I pointed at the one in between and got nothing. These guys were all too stupid to understand how brilliant that was.
Yeah.
Or too homophobic to get what a glory hole was, I guess. Or it wasn't that great, but I thought it was pretty funny at the time.
Oh man. We never built pipe bombs. We made a lot of CO2 bombs. I had a buddy that worked at what is no longer a place, but it was Gun and Bow on Pacific Ave out in Parkland.
I don't know.
I think it's a big weed shop now. But he would get like CO2 canisters, and then he had access to gunpowder and all like fuses and stuff like that.
I mean, that's functionally the same as a pipe bomb, right?
Yeah,
it's like all the pressure builds inside
right,
of encased metal.
Right.
We'd
just blow him up in his backyard, like in the middle, like in Midland, just in a suburban area.
I was always the most interested in fireworks that were destructive, like M80s and M1000s were so much more exciting to me than like, ooh, look at the pretty colors. I don't give a shit about that.
Right,
I want it loud and destructive.
Yeah.
And so we would do like sparkler bombs. And I remember one time my friend, I lived in Auburn at the time, and we lived easy access to the Muckleshoot Reservation to get we had a sparkler bomb that was like the width, like the diameter of a basketball, like, or the perimeter, the diameter of a basketball. It was huge.
Wow.
A circle. And he's literally walking out the front door with it, and the cops show up at our house, and I go, I'm like, stop. And I get him, he does stop. The cops don't see this sparkler bomb.
Why were the cops at the house?
Because they had been called because we were lighting a bunch of shit off.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because I was a daytime lighter. I was not a devout. I wasn't like a wait till it gets dark. That's why I like the destructive stuff, because you can do it when it's still daytime. And yeah, so my buddy, that we go set this thing off, fucking dud. But it's so big that you're like, well, we can't go get it. Like,
you gotta wait.
That's gonna explode a homeless person at some point.
Right.
I think so much about like when you have kids, you're like, I hope they do none of the stuff that I did. Like, I'd be so mad at them if they did what I did.
Man, I don't think you could get away with a lot of this stuff.
Right.
There's cameras everywhere. Like,
I know.
Most of the fun I had in my youth is like stuff that you could never get close to. I mean, I guess there's still people out there doing stuff, but
Jess was just screaming racial slurs.
We
out of the window.
I mean, I have a regrettable life, but we, like, that same guy, he bought a home defense shotgun. Mm-hmm. We're still like living at his parents' house. Like,
sure.
There was no need for the gun, but we took it out to the woods, and like, this guy's like never shot a gun. He did, like, I went to like hunter's education. I like was classically trained, you know what I mean, in like firearm safety and things like that. This guy just like had access to a gun, bought a gun, so we took it out with his just dirtbag cousin, who would take like Dayquil, like a sheet of Dayquil. Just, he'd like whatever we had in the house, he'd just start taking a bunch of shit.
I'm listening to my dog making a lot of noise downstairs right now. I'm gonna go. We're about to learn what a new food tastes like here in a moment, because I have a feeling it's whatever she's doing is not good. The other day she stood up and ate chicken off of our cutting board, which is, this dog's like almost 7 years old. She should not be doing that shit.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, we were shooting. We just like drove out to some like property off of like some mountain highway, and we're shooting like trees in half, like just point blank shooting trees in half. And the property owner came out, and he was like, it's crazy that he like approached us, because we're just like teenagers with a shotgun. But he's like, yeah, you guys like can't be out here. If you guys die, like, I'm gonna get in trouble
so funny
for it.
Like, if you guys die, I'm gonna get in trouble. Not, you guys might kill me because you're shooting a shotgun.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Did you ever litter when you were a kid? Like, specifically a teenager. And the only time I ever littered a large amount of stuff was like ditching beer bottles.
Same. I used to allegedly do a lot of drinking and driving, and I'd just throw the cans out the window. I used to litter. I'm so against littering now in my adult life. You know what's crazy is, like, you don't really, every now and then you'll see people litter. I saw somebody driving a Prius litter. I thought that was funny.
Come on, Jesus Christ, dog. Oh my God. Okay, come up here.
Hi.
We have a podcast dog, folks. The dog can't handle not being on the podcast. We used to go, there was we called it Bear Mountain and Snake Hill. Neither of it, that's not the real name of either, but it was just this, I don't know if you know, there's like a path up the backside of like Edgewood that comes from like West Valley Highway. There's like a couple back roads that go up the back way. They're like one way. They're super windy. They go up through the woods, and they may not even be there anymore. But we would go up those, and I didn't know that people had like cameras rigged on the trees. Like these are trees that are like not really near their house. And someone like saw us on their camera throwing, and they came like from their house screaming like, "Don't you better not fucking put," and like they could not see us from their house. They had this like tactical camera, like a bear, like those like wildlife cameras.
Yeah,
but
like
they must have had it wired into
thing.
trail cam.
Yeah,
but they must, and dude, they came after us, and we had to have put like. Just like hundreds of beers we threw over that thing.
We, Emerald Ridge High School out in Puyallup, like the edge of Puyallup, there, when they were still developing that area, there were trails all over the place. And it was just like a place where high school kids could go and do whatever you wanted. Because you had to like have a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get to these areas, because they'd like mound up hills and things, you know what I mean, specifically for people like us. And we'd have just like crazy parties, and we all had like 4-wheel drive trucks that we'd take wheeling. One of my friends' brother, I think we're past the statute of limitations on this, but he committed insurance fraud out there.
Make sure to say his full legal name.
I don't even remember it, but
classic.
Yeah, I honestly did. He wasn't a friend of mine.
I've been
I didn't even
for
know the
years
guy. I didn't know the guy.
This story. To break this case up.
Yeah, he had a truck that he like blew the engine up or something like that. So they towed it out there, and they just like pushed it down a hill into Beaver Pond is what it was called.
And they said it was stolen or something like that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Said he went to the movie theater and had it stolen.
Well,
out of the parking
insurance adjusters, if you're out there and you know anything about Beaver Pond, go check that out. How do we get here? We went many
lot.
directions.
You started talking about Filipinos.
Ugh, sick of those Filipinos.
Have you ever had fried banana?
I haven't had fried banana. I don't think I've had fried like plantains though.
Interesting. Yeah, I had an aunt, far removed aunt. It was like my mom's stepbrother's wife at the time. They lived down in Texas, and she'd come up, and every time she'd make fried banana for me, and oh, what a treat.
I had an aunt that was, people really love to fuck around with a banana. I'm gonna tell you this was.
Yeah, they do. Not in front of the dog.
She's how dare you? She's only 7. She's 49 in dog years. She should be smoking she should be smoking a cigarette and drinking a fucking Southern Comfort over here. My calling someone my aunt in my family means almost nothing about how they relate to me ancestrally. Like, so I would call her my aunt because I don't know. It was my mom's cousin's like second wife, so who the fuck that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd call her aunt. I called her aunt. I know I was gonna say her name, and I don't know why I'm protecting her. Maybe it's because of what she did to this. It was pumpernickel bread, peanut butter, and mustard. Not a banana. Why am I saying banana? I don't know why. I think she also would do peanut butter, mustard, and banana.
Yeah.
But peanut butter and mustard. How do you feel about that?
Peanut butter and mustard. Now in the
yellow mustard, not fancy mustard.
The place I'm at in my life now.
This is how much RFK's got into your head. Is you're ready to eat fucking peanut butter and mustard as the only
Well, because
food?
I was never into mustard growing up, and I like mustard now. I'll have hot dogs with just mustard.
Oh,
never thought I would like that.
People in Chicago will love that. People in Chicago, they will not let you put ketchup on a hot dog.
I put significantly less ketchup on things generally now than I used to. I used to be only ketchup on the dog, only ketchup on a burger. Hated
I'm firing
mustard.
ketchup back up in my life.
Have you had Portland ketchup?
Yeah, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I want the chemicals, dude.
Yeah,
I want the fucking
yeah.
The chemicals make everything taste better.
That's what their job is.
I know. They do
That's
so
why
good.
we
Why
use
would I
them.
stop them? Okay, dog, if you look at this is absurd.
She's presenting.
I know. But I'm not even in a position. She wants me to just take a bite out of that thing. All right, get down. Pick a. Oh God. Oh God. All right, come over here. Back over here. Let go over. We gotta.
so
Now I'm
much.
getting jealous.
Hi.
Laney, this is insane. All right, Laney, come on.
Go.
Get over here. Come on. Hopefully you behave for a moment. Can you stop chewing on your asshole for a moment? You fucking dog. My uncle lived with us for a couple of years. My black uncle. His name was Lanny. It still is Lanny. I think he's still alive. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. All right, dog, you're going to go out.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Get out of here. You're ridiculous. Go. Go.
Oh.
She's sad, but she doesn't want it. She wants more than we want out of her.
Yeah.
Or than I want out of her.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know how much of that's going to be. I'm abusing my dog verbally to get her the fuck out of this room.
Oh, you didn't say anything too mean.
Not that I kept in the podcast, but believe it, folks, I was abusing that dog verbally. My Uncle Lanny would put ketchup on everything. And I was like, ketchup on eggs? And then I tried it, and I was like,
Oh, I used to love scrambled
ketchup on eggs, baby.
Scrambled eggs with ketchup. Oh, big time.
My wife gets so mad when I go get it. And the problem is, too, I have 2 kids, and now they see me put ketchup on eggs. They're like, well, that sounds fantastic. Because they have no preconceived notions about how trashy ketchup is. And they're like, put ketchup on my eggs, too. Why am I eating these bare-ass eggs?
Yeah,
Like, these dry, not sweet or vinegary eggs?
Yes. Vinegary.
Yeah. Vinegar is like a huge part of that's why you like that's why I like tomato, or I like ketchup and not tomatoes, because it's vinegar, salt, sugar, and also tomatoes.
Oh, you said vinegary, and I thought that previously they'd just been eating eggs with vinegar and not ketchup. I didn't know what kind of.
I think everyone else got it, but you.
Maybe. I've been. Speaking of assholes. You ever? I think I know this about you.
Was this prompted by me talking about my dog?
You brought up assholes.
Sure. Okay.
Recently, I like to do this thing. It's very fun for me. Where
I bet it is, Jess. I bet it is.
Multiple times a day, if I get up to grab a snack or a drink in my home, I will. I like to wear lounge pants at home. No panties. Just free balling lounge pants.
Okay.
Very comfortable. And not every time I get up, I try to keep it somewhat of a surprise. I like to keep her on her toes.
Gotcha.
But I will get up, pull my pants down, and spread my ass cheeks right at her, and just aim and until she looks. She doesn't like it. She's never applauded my actions, but I get a real kick out of it.
Okay.
Yes. Questions?
Scenario.
Let's open the floor.
I'm not expecting you to be able to encapsulate every possible scenario where you might do this, but give me a single example of what she's doing. Real world. I don't want some hypothetical. Real world, where you're at, where she's at, what she's doing, how long you've waited.
Okay, so let's say, did I do it yesterday?
Because this is an advanced version.
I did do it yesterday.
I want to say there was a movie called Waiting that introduced that ball sack showing game. It was very fun, and I did this. I played that for many years.
Yeah.
In fact, I would not be opposed to returning to playing the ball sack showing game, were I to, not have to have a day job ever. But I'm fully on board.
Okay.
This is like an advanced version of this. And I want you to know, folks, my in-laws, if you're out there listening, I'm not desecrating your daughter with this disgusting game Jess is playing. This is not something that men our age do on a regular basis. This is a Jess-specific kink.
I'm cut from a different cloth. So let's say it's always, we will be sitting on the couch watching TV. Close quarters in our home isn't very big.
Sure.
And so I will get up, and we have a chest thing that we use as a coffee table. close quarters I like to put my feet up so it's nice and close. And I will get up. I shimmy across
Is this
in between.
to pre-gape?
Yes. I'll get up, and now I'm probably from here to the camera away at this point, and I will pull down my pants and bend over and just hold until she responds. Because oftentimes when I get up, I've got her, she tenses up. She's nervous anytime I get up because I do this multiple times. Typically,
You're terrorizing this woman with this.
Listen.
This is your form of abuse because I think she could take you in a fight, and so I think that this is like your way of it's psychological warfare is all you have going for you.
Yeah. There's gonna be a day where she misses my asshole. I'll tell you that much. I'll be long dead. I'm much older than her.
We hope so.
She's gonna be a widow for a while. And she's gonna think, gosh, if I could
go to sleep and just
if I could just see that asshole one more time,
your asshole will just float across her consciousness as she tries to fall asleep.
But I
that was gross.
So I show her my butt all the time, and it was not last night, but the night before last, I got into bed. I sleep naked. Very comfortable. You ever sleep naked? Wow, what a night.
It is.
Naked.
I will tell you this. Big fan.
Yes.
I've had a couple times, like our daughter woke up and she was she came into her room and she's like, my stomach feels bad, and then she threw up on the floor, and I'm like, okay, well, can you turn the other direction? Because I gotta put on underwear.
You're about to puke again.
Yeah, it's gonna be worse this time. I'm gonna show you Jess's anal surprise. I wonder what YouTube's gonna think about anal surprise as a phrase.
Good podcast name. But I crawled into bed, and I like to ham it up. Typically
Sure.
we're a goofy couple, and so I crawled into bed, and I put my posterior up in the air, and she goes like, "Oh wow!" And I said, "What?" And I didn't realize. Now anybody out there, shave your butt. Shave your butt. I like to shave my butt. I understand.
Here's my problem.
Okay,
I'm so hairy, I would look like a baboon. Like if only my ass was
like your cheeks and like the backs of your
my
legs
legs are hairy, my arms are hairy, my back is hairy.
I'm slick.
You got chest hair, don't you?
I have some. I've just only recently started to have chest hair that you can see kind of from a distance.
Wow.
I'm very excited about it.
I have like the full wife beater where it's like I have hair across the whole stomach, chest, over the shoulders, down the back.
It's like a perfect tank top of hair. So I was kind of bent over, and apparently my ass hair was so long that you could see it like a mohawk of hair. And you had
a landing strip?
I didn't realize I'd been showing her that for months.
Wow.
And so I shaved last night, clean as a whistle.
Clean as a whistle. I have a line in my joke about you telling me about bidets and your asshole being clean as a whistle. I have a joke.
Ooh, daddy, though. Between the bidet and a shaved asshole,
here's what I'll tell you.
Clean.
This is my pledge to you, the listener, is if I ever am showing my asshole, it will have been freshly bideted. We live a different lifestyle than you do.
Yeah.
We
I would
can't
say
go.
so.
First off, we have children, so we can't just be dropping anus in the middle of the living room. Can't do it.
Things are going to tighten up when there's kids around.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I would hope so.
I'm not going to be showing my kids my asshole all the time.
Yeah. Well, and also you'd probably be penetrated in it a lot less, so it'll tighten up that way also. But no, and then also, I mean, my wife, I can't poop in front of her. She won't poop in front of me. She gets embarrassed when she farts in front of me.
Door closed, fan on when we're pooping.
Okay.
We'll pee in front of each other, but poop is where we draw the line.
I'm going to tell you this. I think the least effective home appliance is the bathroom fan. And here's what I'll tell you.
Yes.
I will say this. The caveat I will give to that is we recently had about a 2-month stretch where our bathroom fan was broken.
Oof.
And I will say it is noticeably different.
Yeah.
It's noticeably worse. But it's like the bathroom fan takes you from like 100% to like 60%. But there's
It's
still
too
a
high.
significant shit smell.
It's too high.
Yeah,
the fan should be right next to the toilet.
That's a great... Jess.
The fan should be in the toilet, actually. Like, the
Jess,
side of the
Jess.
bowl should be a fan.
I'm telling you, I think you're not a smart guy. I think you're one of the least intelligent people I've ever met. This is brilliant. This is your Elon Musk creating everything. He always obviously actually invented all the things that he owns. He invented space travel, and this is your space travel. He putting it, I think, near the toilet would be helpful. I think maybe like a Jetsons thing where a tube comes down and sucks up all the air.
Just in case is you and the toilet.
That's pretty good.
Tube all the way to the ground.
Yeah, that's pretty good. How do you feel about the spray? You guys do the spray? Like the
like a
Glade?
scent spray?
Yeah.
We don't do any
RFK is
any
just fucking
fragrances.
destroying your life.
We don't do fragrances.
And so no fragrances,
No.
and so not a match light either, I assume.
No. Just
I always thought the match light
fan.
was I never like have been around anyone that does that on a regular basis, but it's such like a trope that you know it exists, and it's not good. It's like, oh, let's add sulfur to the potpourri of smells.
Yeah, it's just you're just adding a stink to another stink.
Okay, can we talk? We've managed to go 50 minutes without talking about a single topic we planned on, which is pretty good because we're 4 episodes in. We're just scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're out of
15
stories.
or 50?
50.
Holy shit!
Yeah, we did it, baby.
Wow.
Well, 2 things. One is the first job I had was first real job I had, Taco Time Northwest. Most stressful job I've ever had. It's restaurant workers. I always, when I worked at the box factory, it takes a certain amount of aptitude to be like a press operator. That is true. But you go find a line cook that can do a little bit of math. That person is going to be a fantastic factory worker because they're process oriented. They have to be in order to keep up, or they're going to, overdose on cocaine at some point on their shift, which might also happen. Taco Time Northwest, no tips. No, I mean, I got a raise. My boss delayed my raise from minimum wage, which was $7.16 when I started working, to $7.41. 25-cent raise this fucking lady gave me.
What a slap in the face.
And 2 weeks later, minimum wage went up 24 cents. So I got a 1 cent raise ultimately.
That's devastating.
Yeah. She was a terrible person also. It's weird. All these people I worked for were terrible, but I've been great the whole time.
I will say Taco Time employees, every Taco Time employee I've met, like in other jobs, like they've at least worked at Taco Time or are currently working at Taco Time, the second job. Those are, I would say, if you've worked at Taco Time, your chances for success later in life are up.
Okay, it's like an internship for a fucking CEO
program.
program.
Of the like fast food places, Taco Time, I would say you're on the right track if you're working at Taco Time.
Oh, thanks, my guidance counselor Jess Everett. The first real job.
I'm thinking of getting a job at Taco Time.
I think you should, frankly. I know I could get you connected. I will say I had a drug dealer at Taco Time, and he came to a comedy show, and he was like first drug dealer I ever did business with,
Yeah.
And he came to a comedy show, and I used to have a joke about him, and I fucking made the mistake of, because he's like not, I don't think, a drug dealer anymore. He's he's like young. He was like 20 or something
Works
like
at
that.
Taco Time now.
He was the morning shift manager, and also selling drugs.
Gotcha.
It was perfect for him because he was like, anyways, he came to a show, and it was with his wife, and at the time he was like trying to bang the same lady I was trying to, and so we had like a little bit of a rivalry back then, but he doesn't remember me because I'm fatter and I'm bearded, and he did a lot of drugs because he was selling lots of drugs. And
first mistake,
I was like, is your name Ryan? And he's like, yeah. And I go, I think I had a joke about you. And he's like, what was it about? And I was like, Then I realized his wife was there, and I was like, oh, I can't remember. I just can't remember. Because I don't know how honest he's been or whatever, but it was a joke about him selling me drugs.
Gotcha.
First job I ever had actually was baseball umpire, basketball referee, soccer referee.
Yeah.
And
Talked about that on the first episode.
did we?
Yeah.
I thought we talked about it separate from...
No, you talked about it.
Well, then
on
I
the-
don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're in reruns already.
Yeah.
We're 4 episodes in. We're in reruns.
What was your longest run with a drug dealer?
I mean, I only smoked weed for 3 years, so it was probably with this guy, but it was like... Because I mean, I guess if you go like first purchase to last purchase, there was a different guy, but like the guy that I made the most transactions with was probably this guy.
For 3 years? 10 years.
Damn.
Went to the same guy for 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're very loyal.
Well, he's a good guy.
I found out this guy was selling different stuff to me than he was to the lady that he and I were both trying to court. Like good stuff to her and bad stuff to me.
Of course.
And we also had a guy. I'm sorry to. I'm not trying to interrupt your wholesome, factory farmed, been in business since the 30s drug dealer story. But we had a guy that was like a reformed. He's like not a smart guy. He had been a prisoner, had gone to prison, was a felon, came out, and he was like super connected to like one of the either Crips or Bloods. And he didn't have a car, so I would just give him a ride home a lot of nights. And then I found out he was the only time I've ever seen a pound of weed because he was selling weed. And he goes, one time he came up to me, I was just eating my like shift meal, and he comes up to me, he's like, he's so proud of himself. He has this package. He goes, "What's this smell like?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, it smells so much like weed." He's like, "What? I thought I fucking did good. I couldn't smell it at all." I was like, "No, dude, that thing smells like it's like you put a bud right under my nose." And he's like, "Well, I did. I just thought he was gonna mail this thing USPS.
Oh boy,
he was gonna mail it USPS to
can't do that. No, this guy. I drive by. I try to find his house now, but everything's changed in that neighborhood so much. I can't imagine he's still active because with like legal weed, that's when I stopped going to him. I could get like any kind of weed I wanted. But yeah, so we started when we were. I can't say we. I don't know that I was still in school, but my friends were still in school, and like he had kids that went to our school, and he'd sell us weed, but would not buy us alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
He like wouldn't provide alcohol for underage kids, but he'd sell us all the weed we wanted to. Never. He might have like sold other stuff, but like I never saw anybody at his house that looked like they were there for other things. I'd only ever seen him sell weed, but yeah, I mean, like you get to know somebody like that. They're like family. Like when we lived down in Oregon, obviously we weren't going there. So we came back from Oregon, showed up at his house, and he's like, like come in. Like his wife is happy to see us, Yeah, good guy. There's one time we went to his house and his septic tank had like burst. And so his whole front yard was just full of like shit and toilet paper and stuff. Yeah, good guy. I hope he's still around. He was a painter too. He kept a normal day job, bought all of his cars and everything used with cash. Like he was very, very smart.
Yeah.
With his he wasn't just, you know what I mean, like he didn't own a yacht or anything like that.
Was he incredibly wealthy? Because that's another thing I found out. We should have a full drug dealer episode actually, because my experience with drug dealers is they're not always the greatest businessmen. So let's talk about them in another episode, because I just want to say this one last thing.
Yeah.
Because we're done, basically.
Yeah.
I've met two people. I've met more people than this, but two people who I was like drinking around recently that were saying, my wife and I are doing dry January, but we're starting the last week of January. We're just going to not drink this week. We both like kind of were like, yeah, we've been doing a little too much. Not like we don't get drunk ever basically, but it's just like, we're like drinking 5 nights a week right now, which is that's too much, I would argue.
Yeah.
And it's not too much. Again, it's not too much because it's like affecting our lives negatively. I'm not saying we're addicts. We're just like, we should just not drink this week.
Yeah.
Because it's healthier for us. I have 2 friends who I've been drinking around them recently. No, sorry, can't do it. Doing dry January. Within 20 minutes, both of them had drank. And it's not like me going, come on, drink, you gotta drink.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, how many people are doing dry January? This is why when you try to quit something, I think you can't have a ceremony. I remember every time I would try to quit smoking, I'd be like, this is my last cigarette. I got to savor it. And it's like you're giving it too much power in your life.
Right.
And I think if you're doing dry January with any eyes on quitting, you got to not do dry January. Just stop at a point and not tell anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, go to fucking meetings, whatever. I'm not a counselor, but it's these people I didn't even try to convince them to drink. I was just like, they were just like, fine. Or they like would take a sip and it's like, this is moist January. This is damp January. This is not whatever you think you're doing. It's not dry January. But also it's bad for your local brewery, by the way, to do dry January. It hurts every brewery gets crushed in January because everybody's stopping drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, dry January is bullshit, but I'm gonna knock it out of the park for the next 2 days while dry January exists.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Come see me. I'll be opening for, I don't even know when it's gonna come out. CaseyMcLeanComedy.com for dates. Casey McLean Comedy on all social media.
I'm Jess Everett on social media. Come see me.
I'm Jess Everett is the actual thing, not he is Jess Everett.
No, that's the actual
It's a very
handle.
confusing.
At I'm Jess Everett.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye everybody.